If you watch Yasir Qadhi's videos, a number of his videos are about fanatical elements like Ibn Taymiyyah. And it seems that he is trying to revive orthodoxy, or rather, it is already there. He's further trying to strengthen it. This orthodoxy greatly harmed Muslim communities and Muslim world in reality because they prevented critical thinking from emerging or they crushed it. Ibn Taymiyyah was uh, a terrible fanatical element. And there are many critics who believe that if we follow his ideology, the gist of his ideology is that Barelvi, who constitute vast majority or an overwhelming majority of the Muslim world, um, they are non-Muslim because they go to Shrine or they have certain belief regarding Prophet peace be upon him and saint and mystics. In the same way, his ideology, some critics might argue, in a way also criticize Shiite or putting them, outside Islam or not consider them true Muslim. And then he also cast doubts on Asharites. Asharites, although Asharites were the one who revolted against rationalist tradition of Muslims, and especially Imam Ghazali, Abul Hasan Ashari, they came hard on rationalist. There are some people who accused Imam Ghazali of equating mathematics to the work of devil or devilish sciences. He was the one who he was the one who laid more emphasis on belief than rationality, and so he even Ibn Taymiyyah even criticized him, and there are researchers or people and critics who believe that a number of fanatical elements in modern time were greatly influenced by the philosophy of Ibn Taymiyyah or his takfiri style, the habit of declaring everyone non-Muslim or outside Islam. Then he said that as to why he is still popular, naturally, the reason is very simple. The richest country, one of the richest countries of the world, or the richest country of the Muslim world, Saudi Arabia, threw support behind these fanatical elements during the Cold War. And now some senior Saudi officials have themselves admitted or implied that they did open these orthodox centers called religious seminaries at the behest of the United States, and they supported retrogressive elements of Muslim society to appease the West in its fight against the Soviet communism. Interestingly, these all fanatical elements and orthodox elements, they had been allied with the United States and the Western and its Western allies, and today they are spitting venom against Western civilization, especially secularism. It's very unfortunate that some positive developments from Western civilization, like secularism, democracy, freedom of speech, women rights, they are under criticism by these retrogressive clerics, including Dr. Yasir Qadhi. But on the other hand, the most obnoxious inventions of the Western world, like atom bomb, nuclear bomb, weapons, these Islamists want to acquire them. They do want to acquire military power, and they do want to use these Western weapons, which is one of the most terrible thing to have been invented by the Western capitalist world. So it's very unfortunate that Muslim clerics and so-called scholar like Yasir Qadhi are reviving the thoughts of these obscurantist forces who did not want any enlightenment in Muslim world, who did not want any breeze of rationality. And in reality, it was this rational thinking that started emerging with Imam Azam Abu Hanifa and some other people in the 8th century, and they dominated for some centuries. Of course, they committed mistakes as well by trying to impose their ideas on the basis of force, which was wrong. But on the other hand, when they say that God has given us a reason and this reason should be used, and there are allegorical elements in the Quran, there are metaphorical elements in the Quran should not be taken for literal meanings, but there were other orthodox like Imam Hanbal, his son, and Imam Bukhari and Ibn Taymiyyah, Abul Hasan Ashari to some extent, and Imam Ghazali. Though they were different on different topics as well, there were differences within them as well. For instance, Imam Ghazali was in a way like, if we compare him to Kant, Kant was closer to Ghazali, because Ghazali also believed that there are certain elements that can be known by human reason, but there are certain elements that cannot be known. But many scientists, physicists accused him of pushing the march of science backward in the Islamic world. And of course, it could be argued that even after him, Muslim world produced a lot of scientists. The process of stagnation that was triggered by Ghazali, of course, took some time, because naturally Muslim were operating in other parts of the world. They were operating in Al-Andalusia, which produced also a number of genius people. But by and large, if you say no, Imam Ghazali was not against rationality and science, or Abul Hasan Ashari was not, or Ibn Taymiyyah was a rationalist person, or he was not against science and scientific knowledge, and he was well read, he had gone through the writings of Greek philosopher, then the problem is that how many scientists did we witness from the followers of Imam Ghazali or Abul Hasan Ashari or Ibn Taymiyyah? Naturally, they strongly opposed in a way. They were literalist, especially Ibn Taymiyyah and Hanbal. They were literalist, so they would take the literal meaning of the Quran. It was one of the reasons as to why some people are still justifying slavery on the basis literal meaning of the Holy Quran. Still, they try to justify concubine slavery, female slavery, and other laws in the same way, jizya and other things, because they would take literal meanings, ignoring material conditions of that time, ignoring objective realities of that time. So it's very unfortunate that Dr. Yasir Qazi or Qadi is promoting these obscurantist forces, who should be consigned to the dustbin of history, who have nothing to do in modern world, defending underage marriages in 21st century, or being an ardent supporter of polygamy, or or covering women from head to toe, even in sizzling temperature of 48. These things cannot be justified in 21st century, and for that only rationalist course would be helpful, because it would guide people as to how religion and its order should be interpreted, given the objective reality of a certain age. So in a way, if you watch the way Dr. Yasir Qadhi heaps eulogies on fanatical elements like Ibn Taymiyyah, indicates that he wants to revive, or rather promotes, these forces of orthodoxy, which is really very unfortunate.